What was that? Who are you?
I'm Batman!
What?
I'm Batman!
I have no idea what you're saying.
I'm Batman!
I have no idea what you're saying.
Damn it. This always happens. What's up, guys? I just got back from seeing The Batman, and this is my review. So this movie is really dark, and I mean that literally. I could not see a thing during this movie. My girlfriend didn't seem to have the same problem as me, but I don't know, it was so dark I could barely even make out like the features in people's faces. Now, I'm not saying this was a bad thing. I really think it contributed to like the atmosphere of this movie, but I'm just saying that. Also, it was a very dark movie. You know, tone wise. It was 3 hours long, and I must say, if I was a kid, I really don't think I would enjoy this movie, but you know, being a little more grown, I can appreciate something like this a little more. So I do think this is more of an adult superhero film. But also saying that, I really think it's his most like true Batman film that we've ever gotten. Mostly because we see him doing a lot of detective work, which um, me personally, I can't recall ever really seeing him Batman doing that in live action. Like DC Comics, it stands for Detective Comics, and I mean Batman was notoriously always a detective, so to actually really, see him in action doing that work, it felt so good. And they did that in a good way. This entire movie is really dark, it's really gritty. And honestly, if I were to compare this to anything that we've seen before, I think the best comparison to make here would be to the Arkham games. It really felt like they took a lot of inspiration from those, especially when it came to the combat. I mean, every time there was like a fight and I'm watching him do all these moves and shit, it looks like they literally took the moves from that video game and just put it straight into this movie. That has to be what they've done, because I swear to God, like everything that he did in the movie, I was like, I've done this in the game. These are the exact moves that he uses in the game. So that was really cool to see. And obviously, I mean, that is a great place to take inspiration from, because the Batman Arkham games are some of the best Batman material out there. I mean, those games are phenomenal. In fact, as soon as I got home from watching this movie, I went and re-downloaded Arkham Knight, and I'm gonna be playing that a lot now because I'm riding this Batman hype train pretty hard. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. I really do feel like this movie had everything a Batman fan could want. You know, it had really good, hard action. Batman just absolutely beating the shit out of people. It had great Batmobile scenes. I mean, the first time he starts up the Batmobile in this movie is like, I had chills in the theater. It was so good. It has his relationship with Catwoman. It has some iconic Batman villains. We got Penguin, we got the Riddler, and we even get a little bit of Joker at the end there. And I'm 100% sure that is I think Cameron Monaghan is his name, because I never saw the show, but I do know that he played the Joker in the show Gotham, and I'm 100% sure there's a little scene with Riddler in the prison. He's talking to someone. It's at the very end of the movie, and I'm 100% sure that it was Cameron Monaghan's version of the Joker. So there's a little bit of sequel baiting in there for that. Well, it could be sequel baiting, and maybe it's not. Maybe they just threw it in as a little Easter egg at the end of the movie. Who knows? Either way, I really hope we get another one of these movies. Honestly, if DC has even the slightest bit of common sense, they would just scrap whatever future plans that they have for their current DC universe and just continue on with this one. This was the best. This was so good. I mean, this and the Suicide Squad, I think, are like some of DC's best work, and Man of Steel, of course. But I mean, you look at their future plans. They're supposed to be killing off Ben Affleck, and they're going to be bringing in Michael Keaton's Batman to the main DC universe, and he's like 70 years old. So Batman's going to be a 70-year-old man, And then what their plans are basically is, oh yeah, they're also getting rid of Henry Cavill's Superman. He's gone too, and then they're bringing in Batgirl and Supergirl. So, I mean, you can't just out like Batgirl and Supergirl. They're great characters, but they're not replacements for Batman and Superman, and they're cutting off their two best characters. And I feel like, I don't know. It would be really great if they maybe combined this movie with the Joker. The Joker, I mean, you could definitely have these in the same universe. I have a little bit of a theory that they might be in the same universe because the beginning of the movie, we see some thugs with their face painted like clowns, and it reminded me a lot of the people that were doing that at the end of the Joker movie. So obviously the Joker movie was like in the 70s, so some time has passed from this. I feel like the Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is maybe out of the game by now, but one of his followers, maybe, this isn't Cameron Monaghan's Joker isn't the same one from the Gotham show, but maybe they're bringing him in as one of Joaquin Phoenix's, I'm sorry if I'm saying his name wrong, by the way, but maybe they're bringing him in as one of his followers, and he's sort of taking up the mantle in this universe. And if they do a sequel, I don't know, it's just a theory, just thinking. But not only is this just like a good superhero movie, I also think it's a very cinematically, what's the word I'm looking for? I feel like cinematic masterpiece is saying a little too much, but I mean, the cinematography was excellent throughout the whole movie. Everything, like I said, at the beginning with the darkness, it was really dark throughout the whole movie, but I think it really added to it. It was a stylistic choice, and it was a good one. Like you never really see the characters in full light, which I think adds to. I mean, Gotham's a very dark place, and Batman is known to be amongst the shadows. So obviously, it's perfect. It's obviously perfect. It was a very good choice. I feel like the big question on everybody's mind is, how was Robert Pattinson as Batman? I gotta say, he did a really fucking good job. I'm a little disappointed that he didn't do the Batman voice at all, like the "I'm Batman" sort of thing. But what he spoke very soft and not with a lot of emotion. So I think maybe this Batman hasn't taken up that deep voice yet, but his portrayal of Batman was excellent. Again, he's like a young Batman. This is only his second year. He's a little inexperienced. So yeah, I guess you could say that he hasn't really started doing that voice, or maybe in this universe he just doesn't do that voice. Maybe they're done. They're done with the whole Dark Knight thing, because I mean, those movies are excellent, but last time I rewatched them, I was a little thrown off by his voice. I didn't remember him doing the Batman voice that hard. But hey, you know what? It was still great. I loved it. I mean, yeah. But yeah, he's a really good Batman. His batsuit is a really cool batsuit. It's good looking. It's extremely bulletproof. He gets shot a lot in this movie. And one of the most times he gets shot is one of my favorite scenes, and I'm so glad they did this. I got so excited in the theater when this came up, as they gave him a hallway scene. They gave him a fucking hallway scene. If you don't know what I mean by this, it's basically a scene where you have your main character and you have a hallway filled with a bunch of bad guys, and he just goes through the hallway and absolutely, and usually like a not like a wide one, but like a tight hallway. The tighter the better. And they absolutely just beat the shit out of everybody in that. And they did that, and it was so cool because they were in a building with no lights in it, and all the bad guys had guns. So Batman's going through beating up people up, and as they're shooting their guns, it's lighting up the hallway so you can see what's happening, and it was so cool. The main villain of this movie was the Riddler, and unfortunately, I don't know the man who played him, so I apologize for not giving him credit for this when I'm speaking about him, but he did a really good job playing the Riddler. He was really, really creepy. We mostly see him through FaceTime calls and live videos and like on the news and stuff. But he's really creepy. And at the end too, when he's in jail and Batman's in there talking to him, and he starts like singing, he's like screaming and freaking out. And it was super. It was very unsettling. But just like Joker in his movie, he amassed a great amount of followers and people that dressed like him and tried to look like him um, and did what he told them to do, even killing people. So again, that makes me think, this universe is really similar. I mean, obviously it's both the Batman universe, but it's really similar to what they did in the Joker. So that's another thing that makes me think that these might be in the same universe. I don't know if they have confirmed whether it is or whether it isn't, but it could be. It definitely could be. But yeah, this was a 3-hour movie, and I was engaged and entertained the entire 3 hours, and I was left the theater wanting more. So that is a really great sign. This movie is worth your time. It is worth your money. I suggest and I recommend that you go and see this as soon as you can. It's always good to get on movies like this. The sooner the better, so you can talk about it and with your friends and share it and whatever and watch videos like this. So, the final verdict. Is this the greatest Batman movie ever made? In my personal opinion, let's go through this. So, what I've seen is Ben Affleck, which I'm not a fan of Ben Affleck's Batman. I know that's a little bit of a hot take, but I'm not a fan of his Batman. I think Christian Bale would have to have been my favorite up until this point. Just because the Batman Begins and the 2 Dark Knight movies are great. Those had to have been the best so far. And I haven't seen much of like any of the old Batman stuff. I saw the ones with I've seen like the early 2000s Batman movies. With like Mr. Freeze, those ones. I didn't see much of Michael Keaton as Batman, but from what I have seen, I do think this is the greatest Batman movie ever made. It feels the most true to the comics, and it's just, visually, cinematically, auditorially too. I mean, it had a really great soundtrack through the whole movie. Just the best. It was really great all around. I don't know, DC, you finally got a win in my book, so don't screw it up in the future, please. I'm giving you a 9 out of 10 on this one, so please, at the very least, give me a trilogy for this movie, because Robert Pattinson deserves it. He was a phenomenal Batman. That's all I have to say for this, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.